Shinobi Legion was released in Japan in 1995 and was developed for the next generation Sega console, the Sega Saturn. Back in '95, the 3D games were the buzz. Every major game developed and published jumped on the 3D train with various degrees of success. Let's say a fairly low rate of success. But the thing was that no matter how clunky and uninspired the game was, the 3D perspective guaranteed sales and some amount of following. People didn't rightly quite know how to make 3D games, so the Sega Shinobi team didn't want anything to do with that noise. Shinobi Legions remained anchored in the 2D realm, but a couple of things changed. Firstly, and the most obvious one that hits you right in the face, is the use of live actors and the abundant presence of cutscenes. Second one, but just as impactful, is that the characters were now digitalized actor captions, just like in Mortal Kombat. The environments also follow this art direction, despite the bright and pleasant colors. This is also the first time that the series had blood in it. The enemies no longer exploding, but instead having quite the gruesome death animations. A more realistic Shinobi in a way. Well, that's stretching it. Realistic. Gameplay-wise, the game followed closely on Shinobi 3's perfect formula with a few additions. The sword became a permanent addition, warranting its own button. Shinobi can cut at the environment to expose enemies and power-ups, slice at enemy shurikens to send them back from whence they came. Also, rolling on the ground was now a thing in stabbing attacks. The kick dive was replaced with a straight-down sword plunge, and the shurikens were now a rare commodity. Blue orbs can be gathered for extra lives, and gone are the ninjutsu spells. Instead, temporary ninja spells could be found tucked away in the levels. One allows Shinobi to jump higher, reminiscent of the Fuji ninjutsu, while the second one, the Great Sword of Bunshin, creates an area of denial around the characters on attack, dealing damage to enemies and protecting the Shinobi. Plot-wise, we're playing with a new Oboro ninja named Sho. The Oboro ninja master, seeing that ninjas are losing relevance in a modern-day world, chooses 3 peoples to be instructed in ninjutsu in secrecy, effectively disbanding the clan. These are Sho, the protagonist, Kazuma, an ambitious dickwad, and the master's own daughter, Aya. In a scheme to learn the master's ultimate technique that obviously didn't want to teach him to anyone, as none of the 3 were worthy, and because he is a dickwad, Kazuma kidnaps Aya to force the master to give him the Forbidden Scroll. Sho, who was very much into Aya, took this rather hard. What happens is a series of cutscenes, crowning of achievement in cinematography as rewards after each level is completed. Now, what can I say? These reek of a Sunday morning TV show. They're worse than Young Hercules.
Young Hercules. young Hercules.
It's a ninja soap opera, but hot damn if it isn't the perfect incentive to finish a level, even if the plot is cliché and the dialogue can make a rock frown. The quality of these cutscenes range from cringeworthy to somewhat badass. But they are an excellent instrument to deliver narrative, introducing enemies, motivations, foreshadowing boss abilities early, and just fuck. I mean, look at this. In true Shinobi 3 fashion, the environments are somewhat samey. Show fights through a Japanese town, factories, canyons, abandoned labs, forests, Japanese castle temples, swings up trees, and heavy militarized compounds. The levels are exquisitely crafted, and as with many aspects of the game, they're beautiful to behold. Big, labyrinthine, and gorgeous. Except the mine ride card. Fuck it. It's annoying and ugly. Oh, and the boat hopping in Chinatown. Fuck that too. The opponents are creative and fun to fight against. The bosses are cool, some of them are really cool. Kazuma is a very memorable encounter and balls hard. And despite the generally positive reviews, the game didn't do much in terms of sales. People were clamoring for 3D games. Shinobi Legions felt like it was treading in the wake of the legendary Shinobi 3. The game is fun, but not as fun and fresh like its predecessor. The story is also a mixed bag. Now that they humanize their characters, they come across as goofy at best. This failed to generate dramatic tension, and as such, the cutscene had us more smirking than being bright-eyed. Even the end, when Kazuma sacrifices himself to save both Sho and Aya, have less of a dramatic punch than a drunk man fiddling with his house keys. The European release saw the light of day by the end of the same year under the name Shinobi X. The reason for its delay is that Sega Europe producer disliked the game's soundtrack and felt like it did a disservice to the otherwise pristine musical legacy. So he hired the British composer Richard Jacques. This turned out to be an excellent decision, as the new soundtrack was stellar, garnering a lot of positive praise, whereas the old soundtrack left people shrugging. Listen to it. It's glorious. The style harkens to Yuzo's 16-bit age, while still feeling fresh and gripping. Now, paired with the commercial failure that was the Saturn, who had exclusivity on the title, the tame gameplay and the public interest waning into classic 2D platforms made the mighty Shinobi falter in his stride. Even the mighty Sega Saturn couldn't beat it back into shape.
Segata三四郎 Sega Saturn Shiro
Segata Sanshiro, Segata Sanshiro, Segata Sanshiro.
Sega Saturn.
Yeah. You're confused. That's okay. Because Sega was losing ground to Sony and Saturn was really not selling in Japan, they came out with this mascot superhero, Segata Sanshiro. He would just beat people up if they didn't play the Sega Saturn. Kids included. Sega Saturn.